We need to talk about this.
It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Guys, I'm with Russell here. How could this possibly be Xbox's frame of mind? You know what? Actually, let's let Phil finish his thought, then we can chat about this.
We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games.
Okay, so Phil does redeem himself a little bit here. I get the point that he's trying to make. People are not going to want to switch from their digital libraries that they have put a lot of money into. And so yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you had a PS4 and you invested all of your hard-earned money into a digital library over there, why would you come over to the Xbox? Well, actually, I will tell you why. It's the freaking video games. Shocking, I know, but most of us are on the platform that we're on because of the games, the exclusives. So to hear Phil Spencer say that it doesn't matter if Starfield releases at an 11 out of 10, or if they release banger after banger, people will not sell their PS5s to come over to Xbox? What an absolutely ridiculous statement to make. Why do you think people like their Nintendo Switches and their PS5s so much? It's for the quality games. Now, to be fair, I can understand in the short term, yeah, this isn't going to happen, but if you go year after year after year with all these amazing exclusive releases that you can only play on Xbox, people will want to check it out. That is absolutely the way this works. And so it's quite concerning to hear such a short-term viewpoint from Phil here. This is definitely the most down that I've ever heard him.
There's a lot of Twitter firing of Phil right now, which is fine. I'm way overpaid for the role I have anyway, so
Okay, listen, Phil, it's not all negative. If you actually look at Minecraft Legends, which didn't necessarily get the ravest of reviews, it's already announced that it's had over 3 million players. Which, to be fair, being on Game Pass, maybe that number skewed a bit, but still, this is a good thing. And speaking of good things, the Ravenlock developer just recently came out stating how Game Pass as a service has provided so much extra exposure for them for such a small indie studio. Just wish their game would have gotten a little bit higher on the review side of things. But this is exactly what Phil has been talking about when it comes to letting his studios take chances on creative ideas. And I, for one, hope this never changes. Games like Hi-Fi Rush from Tango Gameworks or Obsidian's Pentiment and Grounded simply would not exist without this kind of mindset. Though we also did learn this.
On the score, yeah, we do mock reviews for every game that we launch, and this is like double digits lower than we thought we would be.
Excuse me, but what now? What kind of low quality trash budget review process do you guys have going on behind the scenes at Xbox? The mere idea that whoever is doing the reviewing behind the scenes thought that this was even an acceptable release and you were caught off guard at what people thought Redfall was gonna be. Yeah, I'm not one to ever call for someone being fired, but you're gonna have to do something to change that process and never allow this to happen again. And by the way, to Phil's credit, he did mention that he realizes that if you're in the entertainment industry like they are, you're going to publish and release games that score in the 60s. That's fine, that comes with the creative process. But whether you like it or not, Phil, Arcane Studios will forever be judged as a Xbox first-party studio, as it is. And being a first-party studio, you can't release games in this state. Not at all. This should never have been allowed to happen. And I'm sorry, you can sit here and say you guys are going to continue to support the game and you're going to fix it and make sure it's okay. That's not acceptable, especially after hearing this.
In terms of lessons learned, and I'll even go back to the Redfall videos on IGN of showing videos of the game running at 60 on PC, at the point knowing that the game was going to run 30 frames per second at launch on console.
You do realize that in literally every other circumstance, this is just deception. You straight up knew that if you were going to allow all these reviewers to play the PC version, that none of them were going to complain about the 30 FPS mode because they were all playing on PCs that had 60 FPS available to them. You then felt bad and released that tweet that we all saw stating that on console we'd only be at 30 FPS, but that was after all the positive marketing that you got from all the reviewers. This is the type of thing that gets people continuing to just not trust Xbox. This was far and away the thing that pissed me off the most from this interview. I cannot believe this was something you guys allowed to happen. Xbox, you just have to be better than this. Okay, let's move to a little bit more positive news here. I found this next statement from Phil quite interesting, but for one specific reason.
And everybody can already stop. I don't want to hear what Phil has to say about the future, and I kind of fully respect that point of view. That we've got Starfield coming, we've got Forza coming, we've got Hellblade coming. Like, we've got collections of games. I'm seeing very good builds of Avowed and stuff. Like, I can see it.
Most likely I'm reading into this too much, but that phrase that he used, collections of games, that's a hint. And oh boy, do you know that I'm going to take this all the way down the rabbit hole. The obvious one here is, of course, the Gears of War collection. We've been hearing about this for an eternity now. It makes sense. The Master Chief collection is proof that this works. Just please launch a little bit better than it did. But I want to take this a step further. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to finally get this freaking rumored Fallout 3 Fallout New Vegas remaster. And I get it, mainstream likes Fallout 3 better than Fallout New Vegas. Us diehard fans believe Fallout New Vegas is the greatest Fallout game ever created. Let's get them both. Let me tell you, come June at this showcase, if they do actually announce this, I don't care where in the world you live, if you just open up your window, you will absolutely hear me yelling at the top of my lungs. And I know, okay? I know I'm setting myself up for disappointment here, but I don't care. I'm gonna ride it out with this one. Okay, back to what Phil was saying. Obviously, the way that he ordered those games makes sense. He talked about Starfield, Forza Motorsport, Hellblade 2, and then Avowed. Now, if you guys listen to my previous video, the one that I'm really curious about is Hellblade, because I absolutely think that game has to launch this year. I think November is perfect for it. I think the way he worded this also absolutely guarantees that Forza is releasing most likely in October. And the thing that I found quite entertaining was Starfield. Listen to this question and Phil's response.
Phil, of course, we talk about 60 frames, 30 frames. Should Xbox players expect a clear message this summer with Starfield with 30 and 60 frames? That's a big lesson learned, as you brought up. Should we expect that answer? It's clear as day?
Yeah.
You can just see and hear in Phil's face that he absolutely does not want to have to be dealing with this question. And I've actually seen this go both ways all over the internet. I'm reading into this as if there's not a ton of confidence here. And I have to say, if Starfield releases without a performance mode that can hit 60 FPS, I'm gonna really start getting worried at what in the world the developers behind the scenes are doing with this Xbox hardware. First-party studios should be releasing games that hit all of the modern-day benchmarks, so it continues to be an issue that Xbox titles, whether they're first or even third-party, just seem to keep continuing to struggle hitting these benchmarks. You know, I do really want to applaud Phil Spencer for coming out and just owning up to a lot of the issues that are going on right now. Whether it is the CMA blocking the Blizzard Activision deal, or it is the absolute sad state that Redfall launched in, it would have been pretty easy for him to just go and hide and wait for the showcase, but to come out here and go on Kinda Funny, by the way, who did an absolutely fantastic job with this interview, I commend him for that. But I think the biggest issue I have with all this is, yet again, as an Xbox fan, I'm here saying, man, I can't wait till that next thing. And now that next big thing is the Xbox June showcase. I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention again. This showcase is the most important showcase Xbox has ever had. And don't worry, we will be diving into that and covering it head to toe come June. But like most of you out there, there is a massive event happening in the gaming industry come Friday, May 12th. Everyone's going to be talking about it, and I cannot wait to play and dive into this one. You'll be hearing my thoughts on all of this very soon. So until next time, have an absolutely wonderful rest of your weekend and week ahead.